And we are with Sol Rashidi. Sol, welcome.
Thank you.
You're one of the 50 most powerful women in the technology industry. What's the main importance of having women in this industry?
Oof, that's a big, heavy question. I think the technology industry, like a few other industries, has not been overly affluent with women. But now I think with various STEM programs, with various initiatives, you're seeing more and more brilliant women as engineers, as developers, as product designers, product managers, and even as executives. I think the latest stat now is that 12% of all 12% of all tech executives are female executives. It's still not a good enough number, but we're working our way up there. But there's definitely a stronger dominance. When I first started out 25 years ago, I was probably one in a room of 100, and then it became three in a room of 100. And now usually I'm one in a room of about 40 or 50. So we're getting better, but we're still not there yet.
And you're definitely our best representation. And artificial intelligence is the future, right? So how is this definitely changing our life? Because most of us still don't know how to use it.
Yeah, no, it's true. I always say, just like with the invention of planes, trains, and automobiles, or electricity, turbine engines, the internet, the financial ecosystem, there's always an evolution that becomes a revolution. And artificial intelligence, whether we're afraid of it, resisting it, it is an evolution right now, and it's going to be, if it's not already, a revolution. Right now is the time where don't let it happen to you, but actively making a choice of embracing it and adapting to it, because it's penetrating our lives, whether we like it or not. And so I think there's an active decision to be made of how are you going to engage with artificial intelligence so that it doesn't happen to you, but it's happening with you. Because like with every great evolution and revolution, there's a positive and then there's a negative side. And I know the positive is that the capabilities are remarkable. It really can amplify, accelerate, expedite everything we do. But when taken to an extreme, I've even seen some people, instead of outsourcing their tasks, they're outsourcing their thinking. And that's where replacement could actually kick in, because the goal is to leverage it to help create you as a force multiplier, but not to replace your cognitive thinking, your critical thinking, your judgment, your intuition. And so with any new piece of technology, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Use it to help you, but don't use it to replace the things that make us unique, which is our ability to think, act, express, and be intuitive about a bunch of things.
And we human beings are really creative, but we are looking at artificial intelligence and we're saying like, oh my God, this is definitely, I think, more creative than what I am. How are we making sure that this is not gonna happen? Like you said, they're not gonna replace us, but we're seeing so many jobs that are being eliminated because of the artificial intelligence.
The World Economic Forum estimates that about 250 million jobs are going to be lost by the end of 2030. There's also another stat that 80 million jobs will be replaced by the end of this year in 2025. So there is no guardrail or protection against evolutions of certain industries and positions that are just commodity-based, that are repetitive in nature, because the capabilities are so remarkable right now. But I think that's where we actively have a choice. And this is why I encourage everyone, be active about it, not passive about it. Because if you're passive, it's only a matter of time before machine intelligence can match that of human intelligence. But if you're active about it and you're learning to engage with it so that it supports you and becomes a co-pilot, then you've maintained control. You're always in the lead, and it becomes your assistant, your advisor, your brainstormer, your follower. But don't let it happen to you. Make sure it happens with you. And I think that's the only way, and probably the biggest factor in ensuring that these machines and these capabilities and these systems support us, not replace us.
And I can't let you go before I can ask this question. Is that, for example, me as a mom, I'm worried because I'm looking at, oh my God, this artificial intelligence is gonna resolve all of the homework for my kids. How are they gonna actually learn? Are they gonna use this? How are families gonna use artificial intelligence at home with their kids?
And it's happening in so many different ways, but I think this is the challenge. When you're when you have a family, our children are growing up digitally native. You know, I have this funny saying that we used to be apes, right? We were hunched over, and then over time we evolved and we became Homo sapiens and humans. But if you look at our children right now, they're on their tablets, they're on their phones, and we're starting to do this again. It's a scary evolution where we were hunched and then we went up, and now we're starting to become hunched again. So because our kids are digitally native, because they've grown with these capabilities and AI, they're not going to know a world without AI. We will remember a world without AI, just like we remembered a world without email, or at least I did. I'm a little bit older, or without mobile phones, or without mobile apps, even a world without the internet. But our children won't remember that. So as parents, I think we have a massive responsibility to teach them to think and have common sense. I personally at home, kids don't get free digital time. They have to read, play piano, or play chess for 1 minute, and then they earn 1 minute of digital time. That way I'm training one side of the brain in addition to the other side of the brain. The second is I don't always give my kids the answers. I don't solve all their problems for them. I can to make their lives easier, and as parents, we want nothing more. But I purposely sometimes pull myself back, or if they find themselves in situations, I want them to rely on that God-given brain to be able to work themselves out versus constantly typing or learning online. They need to be able to lift up their heads and experience and breathe. And all we can do as parents at this point in time, I hate to say it, is break up the digital time and make sure that there's enough time to play, to laugh, to invent, to create. My daughter's favorite thing to do is to get all our Amazon boxes and to actually build things with them, because we have a rule on Saturdays, no digital time. And we try and not get on our phones, but the kids, it's called Creative Day. They can do whatever they want, but they are not allowed to touch a device. And then, of course, by Sunday, everyone's back on their devices again.
And now there's no notebook at school. It's only iPads. So technology is all over, like everywhere. So it's almost impossible.
And it's good and it's bad. I mean, just take your example, right? How much do you remember when you're flipping a page on a book, you're highlighting, you're circling, you're taking notes, the active process of writing something down versus reading on your phone, scrolling, or reading on a Kindle? Our ability to absorb is limited.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I think there's an interesting fun fact that I think is unbelievable. I did a TEDx talk actually about a month ago. And the fact that I shared that I had learned was, with the amount of information that's all around us, what we read, what we digest, what we social scroll, it's about 74 gigabytes of information. That means that every single one of us is watching 16 full-time movies a day.
Wow.
It is impossible to absorb that much information. And so what I'm trying to do is have the daily practices for myself and my children to pause, to reflect, to realign, to reassess, because you're not meant to absorb all of that, but your brain needs to process most of it. And I think that's just I just think that's a step we can't skip anymore. It's a lot of information and everything's coming at us very quickly.
So thank you for being here with us. This is a really interesting theme that's all over the place
Yes,
in these
very
days.
so.
Thank
So
you.
much. Thank you. Thank you.